Good morning, everyone, and welcome to BMK Magick Explorations. I'm your host, Brian Knotts, a solitary, syncretic, eclectic, neo-pagan witch as a practitioner and also an amateur busker magician. Um, for those who aren't familiar, busker is another term for street performer. I go out occasionally and set up somewhere public and perform a few effects, to entertain people passing by, and sometimes you get a little bit of a tip. It's an okay deal once in a while. Anyway, I want to give you guys an introduction to this new channel, which is going to be me, as we explore all different forms of magic. Both magic with the K, as Aleister Crowley would have put it, for the supernatural real deal, and magic with just the C for, as I like to term it, performance magic. The magic of stage magicians, a busker magician like myself. It's basically the stuff that, illusion, but at the same time, it's still magic in its own regard. A lot of places I've seen where you could say that illusion casting is basically a form of real supernatural magic. And even the performance magic, as I describe it, could be said to count because there's nothing that says how you have to achieve the effect. As long as you get something achieved which is believable, nobody cares. Anyway, we'll be exploring in the areas everything from neo-paganism and the various religions and traditions and their magical practices there, witchcraft, occultism, esotericism, mysticism, and performance magic as well. Like I said, I'm both a practitioner as a busker, a magician in a way, and also, as I tend to term it, a syncretic, eclectic, solitary, syncretic, eclectic, neo-pagan witch. So, I can provide both a practitioner's perspectives on topics and subjects in this range, and from my two perspectives there in that regard, and I can also go ahead and well, I'm not really an academic or scholar like, say, a researcher or professor, but that doesn't mean I can't take a similar no-nonsense fact-based approach. We'll stick to solid facts as much as possible with everything well-researched, and I will try my best to cite sources and such like, for my information, such like that. I originally had started and done a channel for a while now called BMK Retro Gaming, which examines video games from, the Atari area, Atari, ColecoVision, Intellivision, from like the late 70s through the 80s, 90s, and then somewhat into like, say, the early 2000s and all. That's one of my other passions. And I had created a couple of events, Retrotober, which is kind of celebrating the Halloween and Samhain season, though video gaming themed, and Retrotide, which is kind of the Yuletide Christmas season with a video gaming theme. But, I try to keep my two passions for magic and video games separate because that's for video gaming. And it's fine to use a little bit of inspiration for a theme, but at the same time, I didn't want to go too all off into it. Here, I like to explore my other passion of magic. I mean, I've been at this since I was pretty young, and have been a lifelong believer as I put, a solitary, syncretic, eclectic, neo-pagan witch. But I also incorporate some of, I've incorporated a little bit of Wicca, Druidry, Heathenry. That's kind of the whole thing is, I throw in syncretic there because I'm not just eclectic, moving from tradition to another without adopting any. I adopt things into my own personal beliefs and practices, and that's where the syncretism comes in. And so, that's the way I like to describe it. You have to forgive me for right now, I'm looking pretty woolly. I usually prefer a clean shaven look both upstairs and on the face, but my personal barber who tends to do my hair and beard and mustache and everything for about $10 has not been available in a bit. And I've just been stubborn about going and paying someone more for it. May take care of that earlier on next month, but for now, please try not to mind my appearance too much. I could look a lot worse, I guess. Or right now, you could call me, if you prefer, a dirty old middle-aged heathen, pagan, or wizard if you want to. Though I'm only in my early 40s, and usually you have to hit at least 50 before it's considered technically middle age, but you get where I'm going. Make a little fun of me if you want to. I also have kind of a little bit of coffee going here, as I would usually do with my other channel. And it's pretty early in the morning here, only about not quite 5 a.m. where I'm at. I'm in the area of Nacogdoches, Texas, deep East Texas. And believe me, being a pagan, I tend to use the term neo-pagan because neo just means new, which is a lot of the traditions that I'll hear are either revivals, reconstructions, or wholly new created traditions, as what we've got for paganism today, while they do harken back a lot to the past. Whereas I usually use the term paleo, which just basically means old, ancient, or prehistoric to refer to the way back in the past paganism. So anyway, being a pagan of any type, particularly neo-pagan, in deep East Texas, where I'm at, it can be a bit trying, as doing this channel is probably going to outmeet anybody who doesn't know, but I've never really made a secret of my personal beliefs and all. Anyway, you ask me what I believe? I'm going to tell you. I know around here they're pretty judgmental if you're anything but a good Christian Bible thumper, but that's not me. In fact, I know there's many who can relate, especially if you live somewhere in the areas of the Deep South as I do. Southern Bible Belt, as they call it. So anyway, I'd want to give an intro. This channel will probably most of my friends and relatives and all know, even if they don't really accept what I am and how I believe, I don't care. But I guess this will make it a bit more widely known over time. One of the other reasons I decided to start this as a second channel, I guess you could say, is I noticed, doing a classic retro gaming, video gaming channel requires a lot of stuff. You're talking about a lot of hardware games, emulation stuff. It can get pretty expensive. And whereas, say the neo-pagan side of Magic can also be fairly materialistic and all. It doesn't have to be as expensive and all and everything as I can sit here and talk and discuss topics with you guys, trying to be as factual as possible and also giving a practitioner's perspective without it having to be a hugely expensive deal. Like I said, we'll go over the performance magic side. This is actually one of my wands I use oftentimes busking. It's a very nice one and very long. And of course the other side, which is the spiritual/religious side, such as we would find in neo-paganism and other traditions. Like I said, we'll also throw in esotericism, mysticism, anything that has anything to do with magic whatsoever is going to be discussed here sooner or later. This is actually, I got this fairly recently from a site called 13moods.com. It is my Harry Potter style 8-inch wand, which is perfectly fine. It's a bit short and all, but about the size of your length of a forearm or so. And very nice aesthetic. This is actually fine as far as I'm concerned. As you know, a conductor, say like a symphony orchestra or band, their conductor's wand is oftentimes very similarly styled to something like this. And that's actually one of those that's oftentimes recommended as a type of wand for beginners. Wait, let me put that back up. We'll also take a look into some of the other areas of magic, we'll take a look into some good sources, practices, books, Astrology for Dummies. This is second edition. This is actually a pretty good book on the subject. I never quite finished it, even though I've had it for years, but it's very good, and To be honest with you, the For Dummies series and the Complete Idiot's Guide series of books where you can find them on these topics, they may be kind of generic, but they are very well informative and when you can pick these up, I would recommend it because, for instance, this one's by, let me see, Ray Orion, or Rye, I forget, R-A-E, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, who's a professional astrologer. And astrology is a very nice magical practice, even if it is also a form of pseudoscience. Anyway, there's things like that. We'll also take a look at magic in popular culture, such as films and all. The Wizard of Oz, I have a copy right here. I love to see, different depictions of like wizards, witches, sorcerers, and stuff. I mean, it's all very interesting. And this copy I have right here is actually a pretty nice one. Has the special features in here over 3 hours. It's way longer than the original movie. And of course, we'll go into like ritual tools and practices and stuff. I'll actually give you a little bit of what I know about the how-to. Of course, it'll be a lot about my personal little experiences and perspective. Truth is, I'm still learning myself, and sometimes I've been accused of being a know-it-all, but I don't know everything, and I'm not going to pretend like I do. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of times here I may accidentally mispronounce or misenunciate a particular word. Sometimes you read something and you're not sure how it's supposed to sound coming out. It happens. I'm badly, I can be pretty bad about it sometimes. Also, I do things like, I used to have pentagram style and all. But in terms of necklaces and charms, things that kind of show my faith, like here, I have a spider pendant, which is very similar to one you might find. Basically, this is Halloween-type costume jewelry. It has a couple of cubic zirconia. It's kind of glittery looking when you get a good look at it. But other than that, it kind of gets the message across. I mean, to me, it's a kind of witchy thing. I mean, spiders are creepy and all to a lot of people, but they're also very good friends. Like here in East Texas, where I'm at, Nacogdoches, you can find spiders in your home from time to time, oftentimes, and most of them are pretty harmless. Really, they're friendly in terms of, they help keep down populations of things like mosquitoes, flies, moths, and stuff. Things that otherwise would be so populous we'd never not bump into one. So, spiders are good friends to have in nature. They do a lot of good population control for all those other little pests, and that's a nice thing. Anyway, forgive me if I do have a tendency to ramble some, but anyway, you can take a look around and see behind me my apartment. Oh, it's a bit messy. I'm pretty minimalist. I'm just sitting in a chair, which is, I use it for my living room, but you could use it out on my patio here just as easily. I'm a guy. I'm disorganized, a bit messy, and don't really care, but, like I said, want to give you guys an introduction to this channel, how we're going to go over magic of all types, both from a practitioner's and something more of a academic-like perspective and approach to it. And just get this first video out as an introduction to BMK Magick Explorations, so you guys have at least a little something to take a look into. Let me see. I do have a few recommendations and links here, which, well, before I get into that, okay, if you notice the channel's logo, I actually created that with help from a little site, and you can see it's kind of got the eye and all. Reminds me kind of something similar to the Eye of Horus, all-seeing eye and all, so I thought it was kind of cool and appropriate. There's a lot of these little sites where you can go and do a logo creation, tell them what the name of your endeavor, business, whatever it's going to be, and they'll come up with something that seems like it would be a fair match. And I think this one may not be right on the mark, but it's decent. at least for a channel that's going to be themed towards all things magic or all things magical in both ways. Anyway, I do have a few recommendations and links for you guys about, I've added about 7 channel subscriptions to channels I've been watching and found very, very informative, and they probably do a little bit better than me. As it goes, I don't really have video editing software or anything like right now, so just why show off, you know, and what we talk about will be what it is until I can kind of upgrade and all. I use a vlogging stick which holds my phone, has extra lighting and external microphone as my way. It's just a simple setup, you know, and as I'm able and will upgrade and all. I'm very well aware that this type of channel, it covers this topics and subject matter which are fairly popular, and I've seen a lot of others who've been at this for some years and been pretty successful at it, so I'm like, well, it's one of my other passions besides video games, so why not go ahead and throw my hat into the ring and take a shot at it. So here we are. Anyway, about 7 other subscriptions I've added since, who I really enjoy. Some I've been watching for a while. I wanted to leave recommendations and links to you guys. This is something I do on my BMK Retro Gaming channel too, which is where I'll leave recommendations and links to other channels and videos which you might find of interest, where I can. And these 7 here, Scarlet Ravenwood. She covers different forms of paganism and witchcraft mostly, and mostly from a practitioner perspective, I guess. But she's very informative. If you want to know about any type of particularly witchcraft and paganism, or what falls into the neo-paganism category, particularly, she's a good source. Jacob Todson, he's a great source if you're interested from a practitioner's approach and perspectives on heathenry, or also called Germanic neo-paganism. And that would also count too for Ocean Keltoy, who's actually down at the bottom of my list, but I thought I should mention them together. Angela's Symposium is a channel done by Dr. Angela Pucca, I hope I pronounced that right, who's an academic from Italy who works, as far as I know, over in Britain, and she's both kind of a professor, and she gives us a purely academic perspective on all things magical. Though, you know, from her aesthetic and the way she presents herself, I could swear, even though she doesn't really say it or put to it, I wouldn't be surprised if she's a type of some sort of practitioner herself too. Angela, if you see this video and want to, feel free to clarify. Then, of course, there's Spells 8, which is great for all different things, especially for like Wiccans and other witchcraft practitioners. They have a lot of educational videos on everything from how to, information like I'm going to give here. They're just a good overall resource. Weird History. They go over all different types of history that's weirder than what we were taught in school, and this may not be entirely their subject matter all exclusively. They do have a lot of good content that covers this type of stuff. For instance, I found 2 excellent videos on the Druids, the Paleo Druids, from their channel, which unfortunately we don't know nearly as much about as we would like, but And then there's Craigenford, I think Craigenford or Craigenford. Anyway, his channel covers all the explores the different myths and stories behind all different types of religions, spiritualities, and stuff, and is a very good source too. It's more another one that's very academic. So that's Scarlet Ravenwood, Jacob Todson, Angela's Symposium, Spells 8, Weird History, Craigenford, and Ocean Keltoy, all in that. You'll in the description for this video, you'll be able to find in that order links to their channels. So feel free to check them out if you would like to. And well, I'm going to give at least one warning here. If you decide, whether it's because of my appearance or what this channel is basically themed about, if you decide to do some trolling and all, do be forewarned that I do know how to and will use the mute, delete, and block a user features if I find it to be necessary. It is my channel. I do things how I like. So just be forewarned. If you decide to do some trolling, don't expect it to go over well. Otherwise, if you do happen to like and enjoy this channel's content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And please don't hesitate to leave any questions, comments, or suggestions down in the comments section below. In the meantime, you guys take care. Have a wonderful Monday, and hopefully I will see everyone back here again for the next video, which I'm not sure what type of schedule or anything I'm going to do for producing content for this channel. It's going to be just kind of play it by ear. We'll do it as we go along. In the meantime, everyone, take care, and hopefully I will see you all back here again then.